What's the purpose behind the marketing plan? You excite, you educate, experience, and engage. Let's do this, right? Let's do this and let's have fun with it too. To my first-time listeners, thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you being here. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth Podcast, where I'm your host, Nathan Webster, and I'm excited to chop it up with you today. Today, for episode 226, not just 26, 226, I have a special guest from where I'm not going to steal their thunder, but Raul is here to drop diamonds. And if you see in the title, we're going to be talking about e-commerce. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to my first-time listeners for joining the show, and thank you to my worldwide continuing listeners. Always rock with me. Thank you for your support. Wouldn't be doing this for the last 8 years if it wasn't for your support. That comes out every Monday, weekly, all new episodes for the last 8 years. So thank you so much for your support. Please subscribe, please rate, please review, and please share this show. So without further ado, let's get into the meat and the potatoes, or if you're a sweet tooth, let's just cut straight to the cake. So I have with me today, who you are going to just chop it up and enjoy, is Raul Galera from Referral Candy. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks for having me, Nathan.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I know you guys been on the show again, so you're returning because you have some diamonds to drop for the listeners. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct. We've been working on this monthly report for the past almost 1 year, where we are essentially trying to get more information about e-commerce and how different e-commerce operators are feeling. 2023 was a kind of a rough year for e-commerce in general, and so we wanted to see how different operators were feeling about 2024 in general and their level of confidence, and so that's what we've built.
Okay, so for the folks that are just like joining us for the first time, you got to tell folks who you are and what you do, please.
Absolutely. So so my name is Raul, and I work at Referral Candy. So we're an app for e-commerce stores that allows them to set up and run customer referral programs. And so we've been around for almost 15 years now. So we've seen lots of the ups and downs of e-commerce over the last over 1 decade. And so at the company, I kind of lead partnerships and growth. And so because I'm on the partnership side, I've had the pleasure to work with a ton of agencies over my almost 8 years at the company now. And so, I've seen kind of like agencies like Rice, and I've seen others that are, have had more kind of struggle to maintain their niche. And so I figured that, it could be an interesting idea to see how these agencies are feeling. Because when we talk about e-commerce, we typically think about brands directly or platforms, like Amazon or whatnot. But agencies are a very interesting player in the e-commerce industry because they're the enablers of a lot of these brands. They're the people behind the websites that we buy from, and the ones that are running the marketing campaigns that we ask consumers to interact with. And so they're almost like a silent type of operator in e-commerce, and nobody has really thought about, let's ask them, how are they seeing all this thing? Like I said earlier, 2023 was a little bit of a weird, for a lot of tech companies, but in e-commerce as well. And so we decided to give them a little bit of a voice and also let us know what their predictions are for the next few months.
This is, Raul, you kind of just gonna help the listeners go back to the last couple episodes where I've been focusing on the websites and the back end of the website. And the last podcast that I did before this one is just going to talk about how I'm taking it down because it was focused on NFTs and the way that NFT, the crypto market, everything has completely changed. And a lot of it has to do with the e-commerce and how it shows up on the website. And, crypto is not what it was, but that's a totally different topic. The main part to this, what I'm excited to hear you, and I can't wait to see what, you're going to share your screen for those listeners out there that you want to check this out. Make sure you go to our YouTube page. It's in the show notes. You can follow him and I will also provide the link. But I think it's important because this is a component that, during the pandemic, everything changed to e-commerce.
Totally. And what we saw in 2023 and what we're seeing this year is kind of a consequence of that. So obviously, we all know the story, during 2020, e-commerce essentially kind of fast tracked like 10 years in a matter of months or weeks. And then, so obviously there was a lot of cheap money around too. So there was lots of investments. All e-commerce related companies were, hiring a lot and, kind of growing like crazy. But it was sort of an artificial type of growth because, again, at some point, the kind of like the online shopping got replaced by in-person shopping. All these kind of trends that we thought were going to happen forever. It turns out that we all just kind of went back to normal, when it comes to spending money at restaurants and travel and retail and stuff like that. So 2023 was kind of an adjustment to that. It was like the first kind of like full year without any sort of like COVID restrictions at all anywhere in the world pretty much. And so the world kind of came back to 2019 all of a sudden, right? And so that, again, like same thing that kind of happened. The example that you mentioned of crypto it's right on point. Like it's a kind of like a similar type of up and down, except for maybe a little bit like softer in the e-commerce side because there's still a lot of e-commerce that's happening. It's just that it's not or it wasn't at the same level that it was obviously in 2020, 2021, and 22. So right. I can share my screen. I can show you kind of what we've been working on. So this is the e-commerce agency confidence index, right? So what we're doing is since December last year in 2023, we're asking agency owners a series of questions about their customers or the brands they work with, their marketing budgets, their app budgets, whether these brands are hiring in-house or they're outsourcing work to agencies, and kind of overall how they feel about the future of e-commerce, right, in the next 6 months or a year. And so we aggregate all these answers and we build this kind of like index. And so this index, which the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 500, it gives us what's the level of confidence that e-commerce agency owners have of the present and future of e-commerce. And so we started pretty high in December 2023, right after Black Friday and Cyber Monday was kind of like another kind of record-breaking Black Friday and Cyber Monday for brands in general. And then you can see how throughout the year, pretty much until like April, the level of confidence was fairly low. It started to pick up again a little bit in May. Then we've had kind of like a weird summer as well. So it's been kind of going up and down. And so I expect this number to grow as we approach Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Again, at the end of the day, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it's becoming, it's always been, but I feel like more and more like a big, like not like a big day, but like a turning point for a bunch of brands every year. Like they're preparing for that for months. They make a very sizable amount of revenue, of their annual revenue on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and the holiday season. So I expect this number to grow to probably a similar level of what we were last year. But you can tell kind of like the different ups and downs that e-commerce agency owners have seen throughout the year.
That's crazy to look at it like that because, we as agency owners know it, but maybe not small businesses understand that it does dip in Q1, Q2, with the spending fatigue from the holidays, but it does pick back up, and you see that bump in summertime, folks getting ready, the ones that could afford it. Now we're not going to say if it's on credit or if it's using a savings account, that's a whole nother different topic.
Yep.
But, it does pick back up, and it's a lot easier if you're in the business where you are on the receiving end of these e-commerce platforms. And so, having it be where it's at right now for July. I know you haven't gotten your August those numbers in just yet. It is climbing back up, and it's only going. I think because of a lack of inventory in in-person physical places, I think it's going to be a bigger boom.
That was a really interesting point that you brought up about that, because that's kind of like one of the theories that there are behind the record-breaking numbers that we saw in Black Friday and Cyber Monday 2023. Because when you compare it to 2020, obviously 2020 makes a lot of sense, in 2021 because again the kind of like in-person shopping wasn't really there yet. But in 2023 we everything was fully open up, right? So yeah, there's a theory that what was behind the boom in sales in Black Friday and Cyber Monday last year was due to that, and like all these, there's a bunch of different apps now that allow e-commerce merchants to sell in installments, with 0 interest rates. And so kind of like, buy a lot, kind of like buy now, pay later type of thing. Like it's quite common. And so one of the theories is that could be one of the reasons why the numbers were so high last year. So we'll see. We'll see this year, obviously, in a few weeks. So, and like I mentioned earlier, like one of the things we ask different questions to these agency owners on a regular basis, and so we can track not only the overall index, but we can also track like the individual responses that they've had to each one of the questions. So one thing that we asked them that I feel like it's very, at least interesting for agency owners, is price sensitivity. So essentially the question is, have your customers changed their pricing sensitivity? Are they more sensitive now to changes in your pricing as an agency? Like if you charge slightly more, like are they more sensitive to that? Are you going to lose clients if you raise your prices? Which is crucial, especially with the inflation that we're having. An agency, their costs are increasing because they have staff or if they have any other expenses, but at the same time, so they have to raise their prices to their customers. But if they do so, are they going to potentially lose customers because of that? And as you can see, there's it's being a little bit high. Like it's more on the high side, the price sensitivity that agency owners are seeing now compared to kind of how it was. So this is in yellow you can see the year-to-date average, and in purple is the latest one that we have from July. But again, this is probably one of the most, from the feedback that I get from the agency owners that are keeping up with this report, is that this is one of the most interesting interesting questions for them, because they can compare if what they're seeing at an individual level as an agency is something that other agency owners are seeing. So are customers getting more sensitive to price increases, which are necessary at this point?
And I think it's important, which I know you told them a little bit what you do, but you didn't mention your product and why, because this really matters, pricing, and for maybe a store, I think now, tell them what you do.
Oh yeah, so we're an app that allows e-commerce merchants to set up and run customer referral programs. So referral programs, kind of like anything related to word of mouth, is one of the most cost-effective ways that you can have in your store to acquire customers and retain existing customers. So, if a store is struggling with how much money they're spending on ads, there's a better way. There are other things that you can do to acquire customers at a cheaper cost, and actually these referred customers typically spend more. So that's what we help merchants to kind of grow a little bit more sustainably without having to just waste dollars on Facebook and Google in a bunch of cases.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I know we're kind of short on time here, but I think it's important, especially for the listener, is organically, that's not how you're going to grow your business. You're going to have to make it another investment. It's either going to be in ads, or you get a loyalty program, and this is just you knowing your funnel and understanding your avatar, your customer. So you build this in to assist and aid, and as Raul said, it will be a higher retention rate, but you have to attract the customers first. But that doesn't mean that they can't help you with that. So I know you have a couple more things, so I just want to make sure that folks can put this in context.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and thanks for that to kind of like mention a little bit more about what we do. So yeah, just to kind of like wrap it up with the report. So again, the idea is to get the level of confidence and also maybe ask agency owners to be a little bit, to provide us with what they think is going to happen in the near future. So one thing that I find interesting about agency owners, I don't know if you can also relate to that, is the fact that they can tell me that price sensitivity is high, their customers' budgets are smaller than they were a few months ago or something like that. But then when you ask them questions about how they feel, they're super positive and they're super optimistic. so they might tell you kind of like the opposite in the first few questions, and at the end they say, but it's all good, and it's only gonna get better, right? And so when you ask them about whether their revenue is going to increase in Q4, the answers are mostly really positive. And if you ask them how optimistic they are about the future, they are extremely optimistic. So, which again, it's something that most entrepreneurs have in common anyway. You need to be optimistic, which is great. But yeah, this kind of gives you an indication that the way I read this is, sure, there are challenges in e-commerce, but it's definitely still a growing industry. And so there's room to grow if you're an operator right now in e-commerce. But if you're not in e-commerce yet, there's still room for new players to join and get a piece of the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. Raul, this has been great. And I think for the listeners out there that you don't have to be an agency owner to partake in this. Raul, where can they find this information and get in contact with you?
Yeah, so they can find this on ReferralCandy.com/EACI. That's the website that we built for this report. Otherwise, they can go to our homepage, and I think I believe we have a link in the footer, which is ReferralCandy.com. If they want to get in touch with me, I'm Raul Galera on LinkedIn, and you can also find me on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, as well.
All right, awesome. And just a quick 30-second pitch of Referral Candy for those that are looking for a loyalty program. What's that pitch?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, if you feel like your store is too dependent on ads, and at the same time you have customers who are happy with your product, and you have the feeling that customers are talking to their friends and family about your product, then you definitely need to run a referral program. And we make it super easy and all automated. So if you want to check out Referral Candy, we're in the Shopify App Store. And if you're not on Shopify, we're also available for a bunch of other platforms as well.
So you could work on WordPress.
Exactly. WordPress, yeah. WooCommerce, yeah, all that.
Yeah, all that. So y'all don't sleep on them. And then Raul, physically, where are you geographically located?
So I'm in Spain. Our company's from Singapore. I'm in Spain. We're all remote. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So we got a bit of a time difference, but you see how we do this on Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth Podcast? Look, they can help you. If you are someone who needs this product, please don't sleep on it. And I'm sure, especially for Q4, that investment might be worth it so they can get you going. So Raul, thank you for joining the show and dropping those diamonds.
Thanks for having me, Nathan.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. You heard it first here at Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth Podcast. I want to say thank you for joining the show. I know that this is a little bit deeper and different because some of you are like, what? I don't know. Or maybe you're like, oh, okay, I might be interested. I'm going to make sure I get Raul's information in the show notes so you can reach out to him. But with that, it's all on you, and you heard it first here on Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth. So I wish you nothing but the best. Until next time, dream big and Godspeed. I'm out. Hey, if you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share this episode with others that may be interested in this topic. And also, Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or social media networks. See you next week for the next episode.